And you are now watching the He Say She Say podcast. Not podcast. Damn, we fucking up. Fucking up already, bro. You are now watching the He Say She Say sports show, starring myself, the homie Kai.
Hey
What's
guys,
happening, Brody?
I'm doing
Hi.
relatively well.
You doing good? Doing good?
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. I had some Taco Bell.
Ooh.
Got my Starbucks. Don't necessarily like Starbucks, so to
Mhm.
put that out there, I'm more of like your local coffee shop kind of guy.
Okay.
Um, but for a matter of convenience, Elena loves bean burritos, so I got her a burrito from Taco Bell. Then I pulled up over at Starbucks, grabbed me some coffee because I enjoy a nice smoke to relax the body and a cup of coffee to stay alert.
I'm all water, man. I can't do diuretics, so
Hey,
no, it's all good
I
though. It's all good,
feel you,
man.
bro.
A gallon a day, man.
I
A
feel you on
gallon a
that
day,
though, man.
man. Yeah. No, but
Hey,
I do my
gallon a
when I
day
do
keep a
drink,
lot of things away.
right. When I do drink though, it's strictly Sprite. Drink of champions. I've been doing that since '98, man.
Only
Since I was like
only the
5 or
finest.
something. Yeah.
Quick thing. Did you see that LeBron was about to sign with Pepsi?
Yes. That would be interesting. I, hey, I miss those old
And that's
commercials when they had
wild
when
because
the
you ain't gonna get no
athletes.
more Sprite cranberry commercials.
Yeah.
There
I
ain't no
miss those
Sprite
musical
cranberry
Pepsi
commercials.
commercials though.
Hey, you remember Thirst when he had the different LeBron when he had the different characters
Yeah, the
and he
characters,
was
and he
on the
had like the
phone with
phone
somebody
jar.
and he was like,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna call you back." He gonna jump in the pool. He too pretty.
Right. Oh man.
But shoot,
Yeah,
man.
those are great.
Let's go ahead and jump right off in.
All right.
Um, so I'm sorry, bro, but your boys came up short.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so how are you feeling? How are you coping?
Okay.
Is everything
So
okay?
my coping mechanism is I'm already propagating to get Julio Jones to the Baltimore Ravens. So that kind of goes to show you where I feel
Manifest.
like
It's all about manifestation.
yes, a manifestation, like LeVar Ball said, speak it into existence. But overall, I left that game, and I'll break down my feelings of the game where I wasn't actually mad. I wasn't mad. I wasn't sad. I was disappointed. But our goal for this year was first we need to win a playoff game. Which I say the monkey on Lamar's back was to win a playoff game, and I feel like we accomplished that goal. Secondly, when I look at the Baltimore Ravens, like we've talked about in the past, the Baltimore Ravens offense, run by Greg Roman, is predicated on two tight ends, two running backs, and one wide receiver. And that has been a detriment to the Ravens in the playoffs. They're a very predictable offense. They were 32nd ranked in passing. And so they went up against a Bills team who had a Josh Allen, who, while he might not be as elusive as Lamar Jackson, he can run with power. They use different quarterback bootlegs with him. They use quarterback draws with him. And so his elevation came when he got a premier wide receiver. So I felt like this would be
Yeah,
a game that if the Ravens lost, it would be like a learning tool. Be like, okay, go out and get a Lamar Jackson, a premier, true number one receiver like Josh Allen has, and that's why Josh Allen was able to have a good season. I'm not saying that he's a horrible quarterback or anything like that, but that took him to the next level. On the defensive side of the ball, we played really well. We held a great offense to only 10 points. The other 7 points came from a obviously an interception thrown by Lamar Jackson in the red zone when he that was his first red zone interception ever, by the way. It was very windy for both teams, special teams. Justin Tucker, the most accurate kicker ever, pretty much missed field goals that he would normally make. So I don't think that anyone really left from the fan bases watched it because I've listened to people hit me up and say I was kind of surprised you guys lost that game. Thought that the Bills were really a prohibitively better team than the Baltimore Ravens. So I think what we need to do is go out this offseason, give pink slips to our offensive coordinator, give pink slips to our center. You know what I'm saying? Get a center first and foremost. That's how Lamar got concussed. Get a damn center. Get a wide receiver and move on to that next level. So as you can see, I'm relatively calm. So that's how I feel about the game. It was more disappointing, but I felt like last year's playoff loss was a lot more heartbreaking and heart-wrenching to me than this one. What about you, man?
Yeah, for me, man, I've had conversations with people since then, and I think that it's first of all, big ups to the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Because me, you, Tarian, we've definitely had this conversation about the Buffalo Bills and how far they can actually go. A lot. Tar picked them to beat the Ravens. I didn't think that the Ravens would play the Bills.
Right.
So that's why I had them playing like I thought that the Chiefs would match up with the Bills before the AFC Championship game. So that's why I had it Ravens Chiefs in the championship game. And then I did have I think I had Green Bay and the Saints going to the championship game. And then and so like first of all, just want to say big ups to them. But to highlight some of the things that you said, I do think that I don't think that they set up Lamar Jackson for success. I think they should have got a big body receiver. They tried it. They tried it really hard with Des Bryant. Came up really extremely short. He just was not what they were hoping he would be. Then it's just the play calls. I think that they limit him a lot, but I do understand it because Greg Roman's offense is predicated on running the ball. But I do think that like your best receiver is Mark Andrews, but then you really only have him run 2 routes all game.
Right. Don't remind me. Yeah.
Yeah, like you got the post where he slides behind the middle linebacker across the middle, and then you got that stop that I'm gonna run 5-7 yards and then stop, and then that's about it. And so like it's frustrating to watch, but then I was watching Skip and Shannon was going in. And I understood where he was coming from. It kind of raised some eyebrows. So I wanted to ask you, do you think that as bad as those decisions that have been made as far as the OC and them drafting J.K. Dobbins rather than a good wide receiver, do you think that Lamar has the skill set currently right now to win a Super Bowl?
Actually, I do believe that he has the skill set to win a Super Bowl. I think because anytime you're number one in anything offensively, especially like we were number one rushing, I believe, 2 years in a row, as a unit, as a collective unit, I believe he has the skill set. But I feel like he'll never have an Aaron Rodgers, he'll never have a Patrick Mahomes. But think about it, how many quarterbacks really do, have that type of skill set? I believe that Lamar, what it's going to be is it's the intangibles. It's the intangibles that separate Lamar from other quarterbacks in his draft class. His will and desire to win, his aggressiveness on 4th down, and his belief in his teammates, right? And so I believe that as a culmination is what elevates the Ravens. And so that's why they're that one step away. So everyone likes to put the onus on Lamar every time that they lose. But how many of these people are really watching the games and really understanding how the offense is run, understanding the history of the Ravens, and understanding the history of Greg Roman? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where it is. I think what we need to do now, if I'm the Baltimore Ravens, is I need to open up the playbook. I need to expand the playbook for Lamar Jackson, right? And look at like what Michael Vick did. I believe that Lamar Jackson in the pocket is a superior passer than Michael Vick. I believe the MVP also showed you that. He might not have the cannon of Michael Vick, but then again, when you have a cannon, your accuracy can wane. And Michael Vick, I think, completed only like 56 or 58% of the passes for his career, and that's not
Yeah, I was
knocking
gonna
his
say
big.
him and Cam,
You know?
him and Cam
Yeah,
Newton
yeah,
are both great talents as
right,
far
right,
as
right.
like being a quarterback, but like the
Hmm.
actual throwing of the football,
The football.
they're not the most accurate. I think even Cam Newton's
Yeah,
best season, he only really, I think he threw for 64%.
yeah, something like that. I do know that prior to the injury and joining the Patriots, he had that one season in Carolina under Norv Turner where he was complete like 68% of
Yeah,
his
that was
passes,
when,
but then he had that shoulder.
and then that was when he hurt his, yeah,
Yeah,
that was when
and that was it.
yeah, he hurt his shoulder. They were like
And that
seven
was
and
it.
one or something like 6-1
Right, right.
going into that.
But Lamar in himself, to like I said, to answer your question, he's an offensive weapon. So let's see how far you can take it because he's younger than Joe Burrow, which I know we hear a lot, but that means something, right? He's younger than Joe Burrow. He stays in the
Right.
film room, and they got to the second round, and they could have potentially even beat the Bills had some things gone away. We never know what would have happened if Lamar Jackson had played in that second half, and if and there was wind and Justin Tucker. You normally we're going to say he makes those kicks. So if they're good enough to get to the second round of the playoffs, okay, AFC Championship game, Super Bowl, and they have on paper the Baltimore Ravens have the best constructed roster in the AFC minus the receiver position because their defense is young. They have young cornerbacks. They have young O line. They have young skill possessions. They're like the OKC Thunder of the NFL. So I actually do believe that Lamar Jackson has the skill set and also the intangibles to win a Super Bowl, man.
Is there, do you think it's a far gone conclusion to just say Greg Roman is out of there this season,
No.
this offseason?
No, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion.
Or
It better be
do you think there's room for him to grow?
I believe
Or
here's
do
gonna
you
be
think
very
he's Mike
interesting.
D'Antoni of the NFL?
I actually, bro, that's a great comparison. I've actually said that. I feel like spot on, bravo. Great point. I feel like with Greg Roman, he is the Mike D'Antoni of the NFL. But what the Ravens did last year or the year before him, remember they had a Marty Morningwig. They brought Marty Morningwig, who worked with Vic, I believe, in Philadelphia, I believe. They brought Marty Morningwig in there, right?
Yeah,
And Lamar had his season where he was able to get to the playoffs, and they lost to the Chargers, right?
yeah,
John Harbaugh is the morning week, and so he was scared to fire him. This is the Achilles heel of the Ravens. Harbaugh hires his friends. So what he does is he tried to demote Morningwig to a different offensive position. Morningwig declined, and therefore he was out of there. Right. So I feel like with Greg Roman and a lot of the issues with, you know, Ravens fans have this issue with Harbaugh is um, he doesn't want to fire his boys. So I feel like what they would do is you look at the stat sheet, right? And it's like, okay, well, they still have the best running game in the NFL. You have Dobbins, you have Gus Edwards. You want to incorporate Justice Hill, right? And Lamar is part of that run game, and he has great run schemes. Roman, if you're not going to fire him, demote him to like run game coordinator. We actually
yeah.
have a pass game coordinator. His name is James Cully, I believe. James Cully. So maybe we need to take a look at James Cully and start to give the side eye to him. You know what I'm saying? Some attention to him. Maybe he
Right.
needs to go. But I do know, Ralph, that somebody on the Ravens team needs to either be demoted or gone and bring in a fresh young mind or a fresh mind, whether it be the NFL or be the college ranks that has a proven track record to get this offense going, man. So with Harbaugh's record though, I had to be I'm a little on pins and needles because I can't say for sure.
All right, for sure. Well, to talk about another black quarterback, uh,
Mhm.
my man Deshaun is hot right now.
Ooh.
I don't I don't really see like after he traded Deshaun, not Deshaun, but D Hop for a pack of gum and some shoelaces. I just don't see how that team could sit there and say, well, we were trying to win or build the best team for Deshaun that we could possibly get. So like for him to re-sign or like extend, get a contract extension with them, I don't understand that. But then not very short after that, he tweets, "Last season I was at a 2, now I'm at a 10." Do you think like this man got a legit gripe, or do you think, well, why did you sign the extension?
I actually believe that he has a legit right, but I also believe in players getting generational wealth, right? And so I truly believe that when Deshaun Watson
Yeah.
got that extension, it was generational wealth. He's like, okay, let me get the money first. Let me see what kind of guaranteed money that I'm going to get. And so I feel like that was kind of where Deshaun, uh, what his thought process was. But then once he saw, okay, JJ is unhappy, you already got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, and he's like, oh, he didn't like it. He tried to make it work with the Will Fullers of the world, but it's not working. So now he's like, I want out. I don't care. I want out. I still don't believe that Bill O'Brien really ever believed in Deshaun Watson. Now maybe someone can prove me wrong, but I just don't believe that that was the situation with Bill O'Brien, because when I look at his track record, because I still remember a game, Ralph, when Tom Savage or when Tom Savage was starting game. You know what I'm saying? So I still remember those things. Oh, this is what echo. There's an echo on
Yeah,
us,
my
but
bad.
yeah. And I remember DeAndre Hopkins was like saying things, but I think that was like to motivate Deshaun Watson early on. But right now, I believe he wants out. Um, Jaguars, I've heard Miami Dolphins. I actually predicted the Patriots before Cam actually went to the Patriots. So that's kind of where my thought process is. What are you kind of thinking with that?
I feel him 100%. For me, it's hard. Like I do, like you said, I do feel you. Like you got to go get your money, you got to go get your bread. So like I feel that 100%. Um, I think that they just haven't built the team around him that they should have. Like, how do you trade his number one while he's still in his prime, performing at a really high level? Like, I just don't get it. I don't get that. So as far as teams to that he could go to, I don't know, man. Because like a part of me, I'm not a Bears fan. I'm a Raiders fan. But a part of me is like, bro, if I was them, I'm sitting in the house. You can have a crib. You can have the crib, but I just want Deshaun. Just give me Deshaun. And
Right, right,
like,
right,
cause I do think that Nagy is good offensively. I think he can call a good game, but it's just Mitch. Mitch is cool. Mitch will ball out one like for 3-4 games, and then he'll just be extremely terrible when you need him the most. So like for me, I would love to see him go to the Bears.
right.
Um, it would be interesting to have someone like him in a Bill Belichick system.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm trying to think who else. Cause like I get some of the other ones like Miami, but like yeah, I can see him going to Miami, but then I'm like, you just drafted Tua, so are you giving up on that, or is this better right now?
Um, mm, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. Man, I'm gonna go with. I think you said Miami. Let's see,
Yeah,
Miami. Yeah, I like them. I like Miami. I do like Miami. That might be the best situation in terms of picks that the Texans have to. I mean, not the Texans, but the Dolphins have to offer. But Tua is still young, and they took him out and they put Ryan Fitzpatrick in there. Now I feel
right,
like Ryan
right,
Fitzpatrick, though, Ryan Fitzpatrick, when they put Ryan Fitzpatrick in there, it was a situation where okay, he's already going to give you some steam. I'm sorry to mention the Raiders game, right? But how often is
right,
that going to happen with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Fitzpatrick's not your future? You don't
right.
produce that much draft capital or on Tua, right? And then next thing you know, you're like, okay, let me bring in Deshaun Watson, who's not even a veteran yet, but Miami does have the assets. So maybe Jacksonville. I'm
I can see
thinking maybe
Jacksonville.
Deshaun. I could see Jacksonville. Yeah, I could definitely see Jacksonville because I'll put it to you like this.
If they
Yeah, I was gonna say this.
if they had the pieces,
Mhm. Yeah.
um, the Broncos actually probably wouldn't be that bad
Okay.
because like they have a slew of
Right,
young
right,
wide
right.
receivers, Noah Fant,
Mm-hmm.
Philip Lindsay, and Melvin Gordon.
True.
But I just don't. I just think their line. I just think their line is kind of old. So that's why offensively they're not that good. But then
Right. Right.
yeah, Von Miller was out. Um, Chubb was out for some time. I think they had a lot of. I think they were just bitten by the injury bug. And then there was one game. Uh, they have no healthy quarterbacks because of COVID. And so instead of like postponing the game or canceling the game, they
Mm-hmm.
made them play the game.
Mm.
So like I think with that, I think if Deshaun was to go there, because then they got Jared Judy, Cortland Sutton, no fine, and then I'm trying to think what's old boy that played. Oh, I can't think of his name, but Chad Johnson said that I've never seen a team that had three number ones.
Right. 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 Was it Tampa?
And so
AB, Mike
nah,
Evans, and
it was that was this is before this is going into the season
oh, okay, okay.
because he was saying Jared Judy. I gotta find it. I'm gonna find who the other person was, but it's their slot receiver. He was balling out at the end of the season though, but he was saying that they had um three number ones on the team. So I think if as far as outside of having to play in that cold in Denver, which is not any fun at all, because you can go to Jacksonville where I feel like the weather is pretty straight all year round, or you can go over to what's it called? You can go on over to the cold. Oh man, it's cold. My soul is freezing just think about playing in Denver. Bro, you talking right now? I think you might muted.
Elevation. My bad. I think my mic was muted. I was like, what? No, sorry, guys. But I was saying you have to think about the elevation in Denver and like how cold it is, and like that's just like, you know. But I was gonna say about the Jacksonville point with Deshaun Watson. At the end of the day, I'm looking at this. Okay, if you have a chance to even draft Trevor Lawrence, would you rather have a proven Pro Bowl young quarterback, right, in Deshaun Watson, or do you want to start over with Trevor Lawrence? So I think if those are your options, I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson every single day because, like in our last
Right.
podcast show that we had, we said that we believe that Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback in this league. I've seen him go, Glock for Glock, so to speak, with the Drew Brees, spar with Drew Brees on primetime television on opening day in the Superdome, and he was balling. If it wasn't for Romeo Crennel and him playing this weak prevent defense in the end of the fourth quarter, right? And letting Drew Brees pick them apart, Deshaun Watson would have won that game. So when I look at Deshaun Watson at his apex, what his apex might be, I believe that could be um, superior to whatchamacallit, than Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
So I
right.
love
I think
man.
right now, like you can immediately get pressed into win now mode
Mm-hmm.
if you get a Deshaun Watson. Now, I haven't actually like done the film or looked at the Jacksonville team to see is getting him how good it makes them because I didn't really watch too many of their games, so I'm not 100% sure as far as like let's just say like if their defense is trash,
Right,
getting a
right.
Deshaun Watson is not gonna help you get stops. So like I get it. I would get it from that standpoint. If you have a decent defense, now we can plug and put in a couple pieces, and and then get a Deshaun Watson. Then because I know they running back ran for over 1,000 yards, but then it's like if you don't have nothing else out there and you just run the ball 20 to 30
Right.
times a game, how much eventually you gonna run for 1,000 yards.
I would like to see him actually also like on a team like I know you mentioned Melvin Gordon, but I think Deshaun Watson could benefit from having a nice run game as well to preserve his body.
Yes. Yes, because they never have. I can't even think of a good running back the Texans have had that was actually good when they got him. Not like he balled out last season.
I'm trying to think
Because
too.
then
Yeah.
Lamar Miller was supposed to be that, and then he just was never that as good as he was with the Dolphins with the Texans.
Right. That's true. They had, and yeah, that's true.
And so, like, yeah, man. But quick question.
Mhm.
So I feel like we touched on this a little bit. I want to expand on it a little bit. Um, although he didn't really beat anybody special in the first round, if he beats Drew Brees, he beats Drew Brees, even though Drew Brees is not Drew Brees. Um, Aaron Rodgers, and then he goes up against Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen and beats them. Is Tom Brady now the GOAT? Or is wait, is he GOAT already to you?
Now the goat. Now, no. Now the goats. What? Oh man. Nah. Such blasphemy, right? Yeah. So Tom Brady, ladies and gentlemen. So Ralph thinks Peyton Manning's the goat, but Tom Brady, no,
Yeah.
Tom Brady is the goat. This would
Say less.
solidify and eradicate any doubt that anybody has of Tom Brady. Now I understand we have
Oh,
Raiders
facts,
fans,
facts,
who feel a certain way about the Tuck
bro.
rule. I don't want to rehash that or things of that nature. But Tom
Yeah,
Brady, from a
that
psychological
tuck rules cap,
standpoint,
bro.
no, it is. No, it is. I'm not agreeing with it. But from a psychological standpoint and the ability to perform at a high level so far into his 40s,
Yeah,
because everyone else 39. We've seen Breeze. We've seen what's oh man, Brett Favre, one of my all-time favorite quarterbacks. And then
right,
we saw
right.
uh there's one more guy missing. Oh, Peyton Manning, your guy. But he kind of fell off like a bad bag of dope that last season.
Yeah,
So
bro.
so Brady
He
has
had fell off. He fell off that cliff, bro.
right, he fell off the cliff. And so I kept trying to tell people, I used to tell people all the time, I was like, you'll never see Brady be benched for Brock Osweiler. So with that being said, if he goes into he already beat Drew Brees and the Saints in the Superdome. If he goes into icy Lambeau Field and beats Aaron Rodgers, not just your normal Aaron Rodgers, who is going to be, I would assume, the NFL MVP, playing at such an elite level, a Hall of Fame level. He's like on all Madden right now, whatever the highest Madden setting is. And then you're able to beat Mahomes, who I've heard
Right.
guys on TV. I've heard Ryan Clark's. I've heard all these people say if it was an all-time draft, I would draft Patrick Mahomes before anybody. Well, if that's how you feel about Patrick Mahomes, and Brady's able to outduel him per se, because Mahomes doesn't play defense, right?
Right.
But you still have to put up points when you're going up against
Facts.
the Chiefs. Can you put up 35 on the Chiefs and win, right? If Brady's able to do that, right? There is no question who the GOAT is, because then I feel like at that point it would be hating. But I also allow people to have their own personal opinions. But I think the consensus would magnify or greatly elevate. So that's kind of where I see Tom Brady. You know how I feel about Tom Brady. What is your sentiments on that?
I agree. I agree with everything you just said, bro. Because like for me, as much as I would say Peyton Manning is the GOAT,
Mhm.
regardless of the good teams that I think, because I do think he went to a great team, but then Peyton Manning did the same exact thing and got
Mm.
an extra Super Bowl. So like,
Right.
and then got to another Super Bowl where that team was even that team had a
Mhm.
way better offense, but they just happened to run into the Legion of Boom,
Right.
um, which is like
We're not gonna let
arguably
that
a
one
top
slide,
three
man.
defense.
Yeah, he only put
Yeah,
up 8 points on that. We can't let that slide, man. Come on
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Brady
He
sliced
looked
them up.
really terrible. He looked
Yeah.
really terrible out there. But like, yeah,
Yeah, man. Number one officer all
yeah, he
time, you
did look.
said. That's cool.
But like, yeah, like with that though, like
Yeah.
if he goes on to beat everyone that we're talking about. Like, I don't think there's no argument you can make that he's not the GOAT.
Right. Well, actually, they would say like Deflate Gate and all that and stuff like that and Spygate. But see, that's conspiracy, right?
That
No, no,
says 7 Super Bowls.
no, no, no.
Like,
Federal
I don't
crimes.
care how much you cheat.
Federal crimes.
I don't care. I don't care how much you cheat. You ain't lose no stats, bro. Your stats is like this. This is my thing. Regardless of how much I'll sit here and want to say, like, yo, when I lived in that time,
Right.
if you make all things equal, just look at the things that this man Peyton Manning was able to do.
Mm-hmm.
But like in 10 to 20 years, where we're not talking about film,
Yeah,
we just
yeah.
looking at people's stats
Right.
and how many Super Bowls they won. And this man got 7, and
Right.
this
And
man
you
got
got like
2.
right or yeah, too. Yeah.
Right. Right. And
Well,
it's like
because
I can't argue. This man has 7.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And he's doing it in an era where um defenses are more complex. So here's the thing, right? It's just like, we talk about an NBA and NFL are different, right? But with all sports, this is any team sport, right? I believe in player evolution. I believe in the advancement of sports medicine, having a degree in kinesiology. I believe in all those things to be true, right? But I believe while gone are the days when a running back would tote the rock 35 times. Gone are the days when they get 40 carries, right? So that means there's going to be more stress on Tom Brady to throw more passes. So I'm looking at it's more he left an offense he was comfortable in and that he knew for over a decade, and he's now in an offense, a Bruce Arian offense who likes to it's a vertical passing scheme, right? So he likes to push the ball down the field to big receivers like a Mike Evans, right? To guys like a Chris Godwin in the slot, to guys like a Antonio Brown, to guys like a Gronkowski. So it's like more wear and tear, and they never had a running game, mind you, this season until the playoffs. Well, why is the running game fresh now? Because Fournette didn't even do anything for the season.
Right.
He was just,
Exactly.
he was low managing. So so Brady, so I also factor that into it. And I factor in the fact that defenses are more complex, where back in the day, just like in basketball, 80s and bad boy Pistons, if they couldn't stop you, right, they would get physical with you. Well, back in the day, the NFL rules allowed you to be physical, right?
Right.
Brady didn't
Right.
really, Brady went through that somewhat in the early 2000s. And then by like 2007, you could forget it, man. The moment he got Moss,
Yeah.
like teams weren't just like, just necessarily always blowing you up like that. You know what I'm saying? That was the beginning when offenses and everything started to open up. So yeah, man, it's people might use the era thing. Who's better, Joe Montana, um, uh, 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 Randy Moss, right? I always say this:
Right.
Brady had Randy Moss without Stickum, and Joe Montana had Jerry Rice with it. So I'm taking Brady all day. That's my piece,
But
man.
yeah, man, I'm interested to see what ends up happening.
Yeah.
Regardless, I just think it's good. It's been good football.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening. But now we're gonna talk about this is my favorite part. I'm been really
Ooh.
looking forward to this. Uh, we're gonna talk about some NBA, man. And so obviously everybody's talking about it. So why can't we talk about it?
Yes.
James Harden is traded to the Nets. And so it's we've had 2 games to see now.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts? Do you think they won the trade, or is it still too early? Especially after Victor Oladipo made his debut with the Rockets. Took an L to the Bulls though. Had to throw that in there because we doing our
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but he scored 32, and his comments from after James Harden's last game to after his first game, night and day. So
Right. Right.
like, but I do understand the dynamic. Like they're in 2 completely different places where like James is top 3 player in the league, arguably, and Victor
Mm.
Oladipo is trying to get back to a level that he was at. So James is like, man, if I'm top 3, I'm not gonna be out here getting all these. I'm at a certain point, I'm gonna start passing people on the scoring list, and that's it.
Right.
It's like, nah, I need to get me some. I need to get me some ships. I need to get me some playoff wins. Tired of niggas saying I ain't clutch, but it's like I was talking about it, and I guess I asked the question, but I'm a go first, and give you my thoughts on things from
Okay.
watching what I've seen so far. Some of the criticisms, and I've come out and I said this. I said this prior, like when I first seen the trade, was that if you thought that James was gonna go in there and do what he did in Houston with this team, I just like you tripping. Like, there's no way that like if you got KD on this side, who looks like he didn't even tear his Achilles, and when Kyrie comes back on this side, you're not gonna do dribble, step back, shoot three. And it's like you're gonna and especially as much of a willing passer that he is, it's just that was the team that they built
Right.
and how the offense was supposed to be ran. Because then, really, if you really look at that team outside of when they had Chris Paul or Russ, which if you're gonna be if James is gonna be the main one on ball, those are two of the worst people to have
Oh yeah.
as
Yeah.
to play off of them. So that's another thing. But then look at the rest of that team. Like, yo, who else is really gonna get these buckets consistently? Because Eric Gordon will hit you with a 30 piece, and then the next game hit you with a 12 piece.
Right.
So like I
Yeah.
just think that like I think you're gonna see the best basketball that James Harden can play. Cause even watching like the Bucks game last night, um, he didn't look like or he wasn't attentive to the details on defense. He was shooting passing lanes, he was switching, he was running out on people. Then on the offensive end, he was moving the rock, setting screens. It wasn't like he was just standing in the corner when KD is doing his thing. So like I think that they played a well balanced game. I'm interested to see now that Kyrie has come out and come back. He
The
practiced with the
return of
team
the king.
today. Said he
Right.
needed a pause. Said
Right.
he needed a pause. Um, I'm
Right.
interested to see what they're going to end up looking like. I seen Chuck and Shaq was arguing about who's going to play the point.
Mm-hmm.
For me, Shaq was like, "You stupid if you don't think Kyrie playing the point." But I can see why people would say if I had that team, I would put James at the point, which is what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think he's a better passer. Just because Kyrie grew up playing the point doesn't mean that he's a point. So,
True.
like, as far as scoring the basketball, as great a scorer that James is,
Mm-hmm.
I would much rather have him be. I'd much rather him run my offense because one, he
Right.
already knows D'Antoni's offense coming in the door because I was running it last year, and y'all only really 10 games, 12, 15 games into the season. Uh, and you ain't even really played, bro. So like, yeah, let me run this point. I got you. I'm gonna get you to rock though. You gonna get
Yeah.
yours, and then go from there, bro. But yeah, like, so what are your thoughts? Who do you think won? I know I asked the question and then just kept talking, but
No, you're perfectly fine being able to do that. I enjoy it. Um, I like what you had to say. I was gonna mention something, right? And I just I'm gonna put this out here in the open. First and foremost, I truly believe that the Brooklyn Nets were perfectly fine before the James Harden trade. I'm going to say what I feel like a lot of people were saying. I feel like with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, they were gelling. The reasons why I like that team prior to the trade, though, was because first and foremost, you had shot creation in a Kyrie Irving, you had shot creation in a Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant doesn't have a problem with deferring to Kyrie Irving in late in games, right? It's either my turn, your turn. Secondly, you had 3-point shooting. You had Shamit and you had Joe Harris. Now, Shamit, in my opinion, personally, he's not as great as people think he is, hence why the Clippers got rid of him. I mean, this dude has been hitting nothing but brick since the bubble. But Joe Harris, man, he's balling. He's hotter than a prime
that boy,
Peja Stojakovic. And I said that. I'm sorry,
yeah,
Peja. Don't send me DM me anything hate mail. But but I'm telling you, Joe Harris, like he shoots that thing with confidence. You saw the game last night. And then thirdly, they have
right, He had a 20
They
piece.
had rim protection. You had a DeAndre Jordan, but you had also the Jared Allen, a nice young piece who I believe is only 21 years old. I think he got drafted when he was like 19, he's 21, 22. So it's like, man, this dude is young and he plays really well. Then you had Karis LeVert coming off the bench. Spencer Dinwiddie obviously got hurt. Chioza, he's a small guy, feisty guy. You had like pieces. Jeff Green could now be in his bench role where he needs to be in, things of that nature. And I felt like from there, that's what you needed, right? Now, what happens is with the James Harden trade, okay, you bring in someone who knows where KD wants the ball, who's played with KD before, right? And you have prolific scoring threats, okay? But the problem that I have with the Brooklyn Nets that could potentially arise is first and foremost, we got to think about egos. I do believe this was premeditated murder. And what I mean by that is I believe that James Harden coming out into camp out of shape was a means to get to Brooklyn. I believe Kyrie Irving, yes, I know what, some of the things he did on the side is now documented and for him. But I still also believe that him leaving had something to do with the trade, and now he's magically coming back. This was all premeditated. I think the GM was in it, so now they got what they want. But the problem that I see arising is injuries. Kyrie Irving has only played a total of 75 games, the max, since 2014, 2015 season. I believe that was like how long ago? You know what I'm saying? Then KD's coming off an Achilles injury.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if one of those guys gets injured, now it's pretty much a similar situation that you had before, minus a bench, and you have a first-year head coach.
Right.
Then you have to think about egos. I don't care what anybody says. All superstars have egos. The greater the star, the bigger the ego per se, right? And they don't necessarily have to vocalize it on the court. It could be behind the scenes. So, like I've told you on the side, I said if I'm Steve Nash as a first-year head coach, now the first thing that I'm going to do if I want to win games, I'm going to the locker room. I know they don't have chalkboards anymore, but your smart TV, whatever, sacrifice is the word that I'm putting on. Sacrifice. Are you able to sacrifice for your fellow man, for your fellow teammate? Are you able to take that charge? Are you willing to guard that defender? Are you willing to be happy with 15 shots or 10 shot attempts in the game, right? So one of those guys has to pretty much take that role. But then I'm looking at Kyrie Irving, right? And Kyrie Irving, people keep saying, here's the thing that I give him. People say, oh, well, Kyrie Irving needs the ball. I don't know what NBA people have been watching. Maybe I'm indifferent or different about it, but Kyrie Irving has always been a combo guard. Just like Jordan Clarkson has always been a combo guard. No, Jordan Clarkson's not as good as Kyrie Irving. I'm not saying that. D'Angelo Russell is a combo guard, right? I always say undersized shooting guards masquerading as point guards. When he was with LeBron in Cleveland, there was times LeBron brought the ball up the court. There was times that Kyrie brought the ball up in the court. But at the end of the day, we knew who that ball was going to in the games. It was Kyrie Irving. So those are the things where I feel like Kyrie can play off ball. I don't get why anybody thought James Harden was going to play off ball because I've never seen James Harden cutting like Steph Curry. I've seen Kyrie actually, do cuts before and things like that. He didn't in Boston.
Yeah.
So people need to stop with this. Oh my goodness. The only thing that would potentially be hurt is Kyrie's ego because he left Cleveland off the strength of respect. Nobody had a problem with Kyrie until LeBron's SI cover. I'm coming home. And Kyrie's like, hold up, what? You know what I'm saying? And I get where he was that way. And then, the parental unit stuff. After the game 7, he hit the shot. So Kyrie Irving wanted validation. That's really what he wanted. And so now being a third option, are you going to be happy with that role? Now, how far do I see this team going? I see they could get bounced in the second round if chaos ensues, or they can get to the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe the finals. I know people aren't going to necessarily like me saying maybe the finals, but I still want to give me 25 games before I can write them into the finals because every team needs chemistry and continuity. I don't care what anybody says. Every team needs a bench. There are so many different things that can go wrong. And have we not learned from the Clippers? You know what I'm saying? Now, my last point in the Nets defense, and
that's the only reason why I'm not going to say that.
Yeah,
I know they'll win the finals.
Right. And exactly. And the last point in the Nets defense though is unlike the Clippers last season, the Nets have finals experience with Kevin Durant, 2012, 2017, 2018, 2019 for a few minutes where he dropped like what 17 points real quick and no one could stop him. Kyrie Irving, he
Yeah.
has multiple
Yep.
finals experience and he hit the biggest shot, in my opinion, in NBA history. You know what I'm saying? But the coaching staff, your head coach, the guy you're supposed to take orders from, has no coaching experience, has never been to a NBA finals as a player. Mike D'Antoni, as last time I checked, he's never been to an NBA finals, right? So you're putting all the pressure really on those guys to figure it out. James Harden, who you traded for, has never been to an NBA finals, right? So that's where I see the Nets. I'm going to pause on writing them in like everyone's saying, oh my goodness, they're going to get there and do this. I'm more of the Tim Legler. Let's kind of wait and see because I think
Right.
prolific scoring wise, they're great. But efficiency wise, in terms of remember, efficiency is not just scoring, it's also moving without the basketball, how many dribbles you take. Kyrie Irving's never, he's
Yeah.
an efficient shooter, but he's not an efficient mover of the basketball. He has to take multiple dribbles to get set up. And I think that's the
Yeah.
difference between this Warriors team, Ralph, and the Nets team. The Nets are an offensive firepower scoring wise, where the Warriors,
Yeah.
they could score, but they were more efficient in terms of movement. I hope I'm not confusing
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's my last
Yeah.
piece.
I get it 100%.
Mhm.
I get it
Yeah.
100% because
Yeah.
it's like
I know it's a lot.
they all three of them are able to get buckets, but
Right.
neither is good. Kyrie moves pretty well without the ball, but he's not as
Mhm.
good as Steph or Clay. And
Right.
James is just James. We know he's not coming off no screen unless it's like a back cut for a three or something like that. Like he's really not like he's not really coming off no screens like Clay or Steph for the matter. He's not even better than Kyrie at coming off of it. So like
Right.
I get what
Right.
you mean. Like they're really good scorers. They're even like Kyrie, as much as there's games where Kyrie gunning, there's games where Kyrie is
Yeah.
hitting and he's efficient. He's an efficient scorer. Even
Right.
even James, really like as good as everybody's talking about KD yesterday. If you really at one point he was like what was it? He was like 3 for 11 or something like that
Mm-hmm.
at one
Mm-hmm.
point. But he ended up in the latter part of the game. It was just there was no stopping KD,
Right.
and I think both him and James had 30 points. I think James had 32 and
He
KD
had
had
30 last
30, and then between the
night.
both of them, there was
He
like it
Yeah.
was like 18. It was like 18 assists, but 18, 19 assists between the two of them. So like I'm I'm interested enough, and they're playing at a way now where like, all right, I'm kind of curious once they get Kyrie to see how this is gonna go.
Exactly. Because it's going to go either one or two ways, Ralph. Like, and I think that's what people are looking at. But I don't like how everyone's automatically thinking it's going to be negative. I'm like, let's let him get in condition, let him give
Right,
you 10 games and all that kind of stuff.
right.
But I think the fact that people are just automatically assuming, oh, it's going to be negative, like people can't grow, like this is premeditated.
Oh,
But at the end of the
Kyrie gonna come in and
right.
yeah,
Screw the team, man. Like, like he's he's no, he's the Trojan horse sent by the Lakers or something, like, to destroy
right,
everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man.
right.
But
Because good darn
yeah,
well that they
right.
asked
Mhm.
him like, "Hey, we finna trade for James. Is you cool with that?"
Heck yeah.
Like, there's no way that they made that trade, and they didn't ask him,
Yeah.
especially if they were trying to push this narrative that KD was like, "Yo, I want you to pull up."
Right.
So I know good darn well that they've had the conversation with Kyrie to the point where like Kyrie was like, "All right, cool,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
tell him come through."
Right. Come through. Come through. Yeah, and like they do the IG lives and all that and things like that. And James
Yeah.
Harden, even if I don't know if you follow James Harden on Twitter. Oh, that's
Dang, who burning the house down, bro? Somebody wilding in there, man. Somebody can't cook.
I'm sorry guys about that. I was like, what the heck?
Who burning the house down, bro? That's wild. Or somebody need to change their battery in the smoke detector. But yeah, man, when you come back, with all the like with everything that's going on right now, and KD coming back and not even looking like he ever had a torn Achilles.
Yeah.
Do you think he's the best player in the world, or are
KD?
we still giving that to LeBron
It's
until KD beats LeBron in the finals?
yeah. So here's the thing, right? About the best player in the world. Considering that I said last year it was Kawhi Leonard, I know gas, right? Like, but Kai, you like Kawhi. I've always felt like the best player in the world before I answer that question, because I need to give people a criteria. I've always felt like the best player in the world had to be someone who can be relied upon in the clutch, right? Someone who is can score at any level of the court, right? That's more of a skill thing, and is also elite defensively and can make timely stops on either offense. I mean, on defense, or make timely buckets on offense. And then that's regular season, right? But then once the playoffs come, they elevate their play in the playoffs. Well, last year we talked about playoff LeBron, but to me, Kawhi looked like the best player last year in the playoffs until that the Nugget series. Those, I think, like the last two games. So I'm like, who do you pick? Is it LeBron? Is it Kawhi? Is it LeBron? Is it Kawhi? And then I was like, you know what? It's Bron. It's Bron. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't take that title away from Bron um, based off of how Kawhi performed, but I also do believe that sometimes it goes back and forth. I really truly
Right,
believe. I never believed that like Brown was the best player for like 15 years. Like that's cap to me. But KD, the way he's playing right now, he's playing
right.
like he's the best player on the planet. And I know we get easily enamored by scoring. Did we look at KD's defensive activity last night? Why do people think that Kevin Durant got 4 personal fouls? I'm not sure how many he ended with, but he had 4 personal fouls, I think. Might have to fact check me on this though. Pretty sure it was him though. But like this, what, end of the second or early third quarter? And I was like, this dude, remember how many times he tried to block Giannis? He tried to strip him one time. Like KD was everywhere defensively, and we get so easily
Yeah,
enamored by his scoring and lured by his scoring prowess that we forget that KD's playmaking has vastly improved over the last 2-3 years while being with
right,
Golden State. We saw it instantly in his first game back, right? And then his
right,
defense, he's a rim protector, and he's always been a great help side defender. And I've always said he could make an all defensive team. So for me, when I factor in age, productivity, and knowing what KD is going to do in the playoffs as terms of his playoff record, if someone told me that Kevin Durant is the best player in the NBA right now, I'm not going to deny that, man. But I feel like there's 3 guys uh, every year, right, when KD's healthy, that can have a stake at said title. It's LeBron James, it's Kevin Durant, and it's Kawhi Leonard. I think we need to stop with the whole, well, it's just strictly Braun. This is not 2012 anymore. This is not 2013 anymore. Steph Curry clearly looked like the best player in 2015. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I
right.
feel I'm going to give the edge right now to Kevin Durant, you know, because I also believe that best player in the world to me, Ralph, because I know you're a Jordan fan, when you get into the playoffs, who can stop you? Can we agree that AD, there were like in the playoffs last year, AD looked unstoppable. Like they tried to throw it, like the dude
Oh
was
yeah,
cooking. So like I look at
yeah.
I
Yeah,
give you
he's cooking
some
folks.
right, I give you some form of lift to just your unstoppability. You know what I'm saying? And what Bron is crazy because Bron and Kawhi both do this. They turn the gear on in the playoffs. That's why when people are like, oh, Kawhi's low
Right,
managing. Next thing you know, the playoffs happen. I'm like, man, this dude's shooting 80% from the mid range, like 80. I was like, what the
right,
heck? I'm like, he prime Jordan,
right,
like what? So yeah, I'm gonna go with KD right now. But and plus Brian's shooting like 39% in the fourth quarters of games. I don't know what's going on. It's a little
right,
concerning. Like,
right, right,
yeah. And he's a stat guy now. So what do you think? Are you still giving
right.
LeBron the edge now, or is it? What's your thoughts on it?
I was already kind of iffy because of
Okay,
the
being
season
honest,
that
yeah.
KD had in 2019, and then the LeBron getting hurt. I
Hmm.
mean, sometimes
Hmm.
you just become a product of the moment. And I was
Hmm.
already
Hmm.
at that point saying that KD was the best player in the league at
Okay.
that point.
Well,
And
yeah.
so I just and me, I'm more so like when I go do and I'm doing my criteria for who is the
Mhm.
best player, uh, or like even comparing people, I just think about people's skill sets. So when you
Yeah.
start going from shooting to playmaking to defense, and then the different levels of defense, like I just think that KD starts striking. There's more boxes that go to KD than it does. Um, if we start checking boxes, there's more that KD does better than LeBron does.
Right.
And so it's like for if I can go down that, and then it's like, all right, cool. What's your effect on the game?
Hmm.
And it's like as great as the effect that LeBron has, you never really can tell what the effect on the game that KD has because he's such a like I don't need the ball.
Yes. Yes.
And like
That's great.
LeBron controls the rock, so it's
Right.
like for him like KD to be like, yo, you can bring it up and run the offense. Just when I
Yeah.
get to my spot, you better give it to me.
Right.
Now
Right.
at
Right.
this point, like he's comfortable being like, yo, give me the ball here. Once I'm here, give it to me. Where before he was so cool with deferring that it was kind of like I can't really give you that.
Mm.
Cause then like at least with LeBron, when it comes down to that last moment, LeBron's not throwing the ball to someone, go make a play. He'll make a play and then pass it to you. Where KD was just straight up cool with, I'm going to stand here, do your thing over there. And when you cut across the lane, I'll be open. Just hit me. And then
Right.
when the person cut across the lane, they're not looking to pass, they looking to score. So it's like for you to be that good and be possibly, you have the skill set to be one of the best players to ever play basketball. You can't be so reluctant to shoot in those moments where now
Right.
he's still like as good as James and Kyrie are. Everybody know who the alpha dog is and who the best player on that team is.
Period. And I like what you said about the because I don't want to go too long with this part because with time. But when I look at the best and we think
Mm-hmm.
about, and I don't want to, I'm not going to bring up Jordan, but I'm just using an example like the last shot it matters. And I'm not saying LeBron doesn't isn't clutch doesn't isn't clutch, right? I also believe like he gets a lot of his shots at
Right.
the basket. Well, so stats are skewed. But at the end of the day, is
Yeah.
I always hear LeBron makes the right basketball play, and I think I might have mentioned this before. They say he makes the right basketball play, and by the coach's textbook definition, finding the open man or said man, right, is the right basketball play. But I'm gonna tell people to open their third eye, right? What people never think of is when you're passing to a George Hill or you're passing to a whoever it is. Most of the time, LeBron is not passing to a Ray Allen. Most of the time, he is not passing to. I'm talking about like throughout the course of his career. He's done it before, but normally there's no John Paxson on the floor. There's no
Yeah.
Steve Kerr on the floor. There's no
Right.
Robert Ory on the floor, right? You're passing to the third, fourth, fifth, sometimes sixth player.
Right.
There's a psychological aspect of how do you know if that person wants that shot? 9 out of 10 times they don't. So when they miss it, people get upset and they're like, LeBron, you should have. You get where I'm
Yeah.
going. And now
Right.
that I just say that, I'm pretty sure someone just opened up their eyes like, oh my goodness. And that's what I'm trying to say. So is it really the right basketball play? And so what separates LeBron from the other two guys that you can probably think figure out who I'm talking about, who are no longer, playing in the league. One, rest in peace. What separates him from those two guys is they never feared the moment, right? And I
Right.
still believe to this day that LeBron fears the moment, and a guy like Kyrie, a guy like KD, two of those guys, now they're on the same team, right? Which is crazy. Those guys never feared the moment. And so when someone comes up to me and looks me dead in the eye and tells me, hey, I've always felt that Kyrie was the best player in the NBA, I'm not going to get overly emotional and angry and how dare you, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So, you get what I'm saying? And so I think that fear factor,
Right.
and so I always said, Ralph, basketball is not played on Excel spreadsheets. And so I think there are certain things that we just can't quantify when we talk about the best player, and that's one of them.
Right.
So there
Yeah,
you go.
and then like I'll finish with this, and it's
Yeah.
just like to go back to some of the things. It's one, yeah, just because you make the open pass
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean it's the best play, because anybody that really knows the game, um, even if it's football,
Right.
basketball, or soccer, where whatever game where you're passing it to someone, just because that person is open, sometimes there's a reason why that nigga open.
Oh, there we go.
And so like for that,
Yeah.
and yeah, so like as
That
far
was
as that,
beautiful.
like I'm it's that's one thing. Two, sometimes with me, like I feel like some of the criticism that LeBron gets, it's not that he won't make the play,
Right.
but it's a willingness to take it. And then when you start thinking about why this person doesn't take it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I'm like, yo, I can't really call him the GOAT, or like certain things. Like I can't say he's better than this person because he can't. This person can do this and he can't. And it's like where you take that play where he comes down the middle and he gets to right about the elbow.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, Kobe, Mike, shit, Paul
Yeah.
Pierce was really good at this.
Right.
Melo
Any of them.
is that
Yeah.
1-2 dribble. KD, that 1-2 dribble, rise above the defender, hit that shot. It's like I can't say that this person is better than this if in
Right.
that moment that shot's open. But it's like if you don't have that in your skill set, then I see
Yeah.
why you wouldn't even attempt to do it.
Yeah. Like I don't
And
want. I don't want.
so that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say I didn't want. I don't want Horton Tucker or Alex
Yeah,
Caruso shooting the last shot. LeBron, like I don't.
right, right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
So
And it's like I get it, because they got to prove themselves. Like John Paxson
mhm.
wasn't John Paxson. Like we don't look at John Paxson or Steve Kerr until Mike was like, "You go hit this, I got you." Then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like now, Steve Kerr and John Paxson, Robert Ory's of the world, like we look at them as basketball fans, like, yo, they did their thing when they needed it. But like we would have, even Danny Green to a certain point, to a certain degree, like they counted on him to hit clutch baskets when he was with the Spurs. He hit
Yeah.
some clutch baskets when he was with the Raptors. It just was once he got to LA, it was just like, bro, they got around LeBron and was like, nigga, I'm a ball just enough to get us there, and then I'm not hitting nothing after that.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you, man. I feel you.
But shoot,
Yeah.
it was a great episode. We got to get
Oh
up
wait.
out of here. Before we close out, got to say big shout out to my cousin Eric. E Money goes by Austin Poe. His line here, Zuni Life. Look it up, check it
Woo.
out.
Website?
Um, and yeah, I'll put it in. Just look in the comment section
Okay.
of this video on Facebook. I will have a link to his website. 100%.
All right.
Any of my other homies that have merchandise, clothing line, anything that I can wear, physically show on the show, I will most certainly get you plugged to where you get to have some expansion. But thank you all
Right.
for listening. You can catch the podcast on all streaming platforms.
All streaming
Um,
platforms.
we're we're forever expanding, so you will be seeing our logo. We will be on more live platforms as well. We're trying to solidify a time. Thinking about doing 2 days a week, maybe one in the morning and then one earlier in the week at night. Um, but thank you all for listening. You can catch us on any streaming platform. Just type in the spacebar, he say,
Peace.
she say, sports show. And then you can catch me on Instagram. Actually, my
Mm-hmm.
handle is right there on the screen, right here. At King Ralph, KyngrAlph.
And
What,
you can
bro?
catch me on Instagram at the.house of hoops for player analysis, player highlights, team analysis, the whole nine. If you love basketball, the House of Hoops is where you need to be. All right.
All right, all right. Big trust. Peace.
Big trust. Woo-woo. Peace.